What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, Chase, a.k.a. CR Media. As y'all may know me, y'all saw me last night on the Line in the Sand podcast here on Sports Empire Network. But after the soft launch, we're a little bit more solidified. Your boy, Ty, and myself are coming at you at One Arrowhead Drive because that's where the Chiefs reside, baby. One Arrowhead Drive. Sports Empire Network's one and only Kansas City Chiefs talk show. Like I said, myself, Chase CR Media, and my good friend Ty. Ty, how are you, sir?
Doing good. Ready for football. Feeling like we're back after seeing some of the videos today of the guys, the rookies and quarterbacks at training camp today. Got me excited.
Absolutely, man. Kicking off a hell of a season last year. You and I kind of talked about that. We talked about the draft in Kansas City. We kind of did that first, soft launch back in May or so. A little bit of free agency talk, but now we're getting right down to the final steps. This is what we call third base, the seventh inning stretch, if you will. We're right here at training camp, man. Preseason is less than a month away. The first preseason game. So kind of wanted to, dive into all that, and we'll talk about a lot of that stuff. But before we do, if you are watching right now on Sports Empire Network's Facebook page or YouTube page, I would greatly appreciate it if you'd hit that follow button or hit that thumbs up button, the like button, because it helps with the algorithm, helps get Sports Empire Network out there. Because while we talk about Kansas City Chiefs, the Sports Empire Network talks about all sports, not just one team, not just one sport. They cover everything. In fact, right after this show, you're going to see Wire to Wire with Gene, and Wire to Wire kind of covers a lot of everything. So shout out to Wire, man. He released a reel from last year. I think may have been almost 2 years ago now. He said it was right before the Super Bowl with the Bucs, where he called Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes the two greatest quarterbacks in the NFL. And it was funny, one of his co-hosts didn't say anything, but the other co-host kind of like snickered at him and was like, can't believe you said that. And then here we are, man. I mean, I think it's undoubted. I think it's undisputed, if you will. Hands down, the quarterback in the NFL. And, if you've watched Ty or myself in any way, shape, or form, you guys know that we're in full agreement of that, obviously.
Exactly, yeah.
But we've got like I said, got a lot of topics on hand, and we'll talk about that. Sports Empire Network, guys, as a way to say thank you for hitting the like button, for hitting those follow buttons, for sharing and posting it in any way, shape, or form, showing any kind of support. As a way to say thank you, Sports Empire Network is going to give you a promo code to SeatGeek.com. Man, I got to change that because it doesn't match well with the background anymore. But if you go to SeatGeek.com and you use the promo code SEM for Sports Empire Network, guys, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. And that is our way of saying thank you for showing support to the Empire. But let's kind of dive right into this, if you will, Ty. Training camp. Training camp, probably one of prior to this year was one of my favorite times of the year. My father owned a house up in St. Joe. He passed away about 4 or 5 years ago and left me that house. And, so I would kind of just go back and forth. St. Joe's about an hour and a half from where I'm at now in South Kansas City, Missouri, and go up there a little bit, spend some time, go to the family days, go to the media days, stuff like that. And, so this time of the year is always kind of interesting to me and always kind of fun because I like to go to training camp and just kind of see those training camp darlings, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's throw some names out there, man. I mean, for the past few years, you got any training camp darlings in Kansas City that you really liked? Ones that come to mind?
Jody Fortson last year, really. Yeah, Derek Gore. Jody Fortson last year. This year it's going to be Justin Ross, I feel like. Definitely. But yeah, Jody Fortson was one of them. Derek Gore. It's always a running back, it feels like, every year. I remember when Darwin Thompson was one of those guys everybody was talking about. He was another 7th-round running back, but he didn't make the cut. But still, yeah, it's always 2 or 3 guys every year that get extra attention at training camp. Let's just go out there. It's fun to watch. Like you said, go up there, enjoy the family day, all that stuff. You get the autographs sometimes and all that. So it's just fun to go out there, even though it's going to be hot. It's going to be really hot most of those days in the summertime, but it's fun to go and, just see the practices and see how the team's developing.
Absolutely, man. I love going out there. Like I said, it's hot. It's always hot every single time I go.
Yeah.
You get that Midwest humidity and all that up there, but Northwest, Missouri Northwest University, the Gryffindors, I think is what they're called, right?
Yeah, I think they are.
No, that's Harry Potter.
Gryffindors.
Is it? I don't think it's Gryffindors, is it?
Are they the Bearcats or something like that?
No, Bearcats is Northwestern.
Yeah. No, I think you were close with the first name, even though that's
it's something like that, but
yeah,
I know it's not the Griffin because Gryffindor's got to be Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But that's all right. We'll move on. But the college at North, in Missouri Northwest, they have the Chiefs come there every year for training camp. There's going to be a lot of dates on there, and at the end of the show, we'll break down the dates, kind of let people know. Hopefully, there's some Chiefs fans in here watching with us that can kind of digest that information and take that because, like we mentioned, there's a lot of fun things that go on up there. Family Fun Day, Autograph Day. I'll tell you what, though, and I may have said, I think I say this every year since I've been doing some type of sports podcast or any type of live streams. And I feel like I've, kind of hammered this a little bit, quite a lot, but I'm going to say it again this year. Get massively frustrated with the Chiefs and their autograph day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my past, I've gone and waited in the heat and, stood around, waited for autographs, being a fan. And the players that stay and sign autographs on autograph day are always like the 3rd string, 4th string practice squad guys that don't make the final roster, which is cool. Not an issue with that. But then like on days when they're not supposed to be autograph days, guys like Travis Kelce will come out and sign autographs and whatnot. So it's always like one of my biggest complaints with how that is. Like if you have a day designated for autographs, like why is it, other than the offensive linemen, why isn't the starters out there signing autographs? But for not just for old fat guys like myself trying to get autographs, but like for the kids too.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw one guy practically try to throw his kid onto the field to try and get Patrick's attention. I've never seen Mahomes stop and sign autographs at the training camp.
He would be there all day if he did, though. That's why. Because I mean, if he stopped, then.
So did you see that? Have you seen? Speaking of that, I mean, this is an extra topic, but did you happen to see that video making its rounds on social media? Of the dad
the golf tournament.
Yeah, the dad of the golf tournament where he's like, "Hey, come on, Patrick, sign an autograph," and he's like, "Yo, if I sign an autograph sorry, my phone is dinging like crazy. I don't know if y'all can hear that. I got this really expensive microphone, but I still wonder if it's dinging in there. Anyways, apologize about that. But that guy's like, "Hey, Patrick, sign an autograph," and he's like, "Man, I can't. If I sign one for your kid, I got to sign one for the other 100 kids." And he's like, "Oh, come on, you can do it." And it's weird, like, you read some of those comments on social media and you can see like a lot of people are pretty understanding about that. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, it's an event like that, for him to stop and sign one autograph for somebody, he's going to have to, sign a bunch of autographs. And it's like understandable. And then at the same time, we were just talking and like, I love my quarterback. Like that's my dude. Like that's my city right there is Patrick Mahomes. Right.
Right.
But I mean, we just got done talking about how like dude doesn't stop and sign autographs at training camp either. So it's like, obviously there's no obligation for these players to sign autographs, but kind of like what's your stance on it, Ty, man? I mean, do you think the $500 million quarterback should stop and sign some autographs, or is he within his rights to be like, nah, I ain't got the time?
No, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I really don't. I feel like it's a kind of like you said, almost like an entitlement thing where people feel like, that he should sign their stuff. And at the end of the day, he's not obligated to, and he doesn't have to. And it doesn't change the way that I look at him as a player, as a person, or anything. I really have no problems with it. But I could see why some people, get upset, I guess. But not me.
Yeah, I mean, like jokingly, it was like, hey, as long as it's my autograph, like who cares? But I mean, at the end of the day, I think that, and this is not just me like being on the Mahomes hype train. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has invested in the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
He lives 4 miles from where I'm at right now in Belton or Loch Lloyd. I know those really rich people in Loch Lloyd like to think that they're in a different city, but your zip code is still 64012. You're still in Belton, no matter how you like to chop it up, guys. But like he lives 4 miles down the road from me in Belton, Missouri, in Loch Lloyd. His wife is a part owner of the women's soccer team in Kansas City. He's a part owner of the Royals. I mean, there's so much that Patrick Mahomes has done to be invested and in here in the roots of Kansas City. So it's hard for me to be like, oh yeah, he should have to stop and sign some autographs. And at the end of the day, y'all, like, they sign contracts to play football. Like we could get on a high horse and be like, yo, yeah, they got to sign some autographs for some kids. No, they don't. They signed a contract to play football. That's it.
Yep.
Like
exactly.
they're not obligated to do anything else. Yep. Like, yeah, like it's about the kids. I get it, but I thought that was really weird. Like I said, man, you open those comments and the majority of people are like, well, he's kind of right. He doesn't have to sign one for one of them. He'd have to sign one for all of them, etc. But you're going to get a few of those duds in there that are like, how dare him? It takes 3 seconds to sign an autograph for a kid. You can't do that. So shout out to my boy James Hall. Says, yes, glad to get some quality Chiefs content. Heard that. Wish I didn't hear that, but I just heard that. Big shout out to my boy James, because I want to kind of rewind a little bit. We talked about some of those training camp darlings. We talked about Isaiah Pacheco, and you mentioned Darwin Thompson, Derek Gore, a bunch
Jody
of guys.
Fortson.
One of you guys you mentioned was Jody Fortson, and man, whenever I think of Jody Fortson wearing number 88, I don't think of Tony Gonzalez. I think of James Howe, because when James Howe and myself were doing James Howe's Chiefs Talk in the Arrowhead Asylum, the one name, you can go find those episodes on YouTube and watch them. The one name that James Howe hammered all year long was Jody Fortson. And anytime Jody Fortson got the rock thrown to him, James Howe was in there going, yep, I told you. So shout out to James. Appreciate James. Key, I don't want Key to think I'm ignoring her. She got that comment that said, what do y'all think about the Mahomes and the quarterback series on Netflix? We're going to get to that. But kind of before we do, kind of closing out this training camp talk, looking at this team so far, Ty, tell me who you think could end up being. I know you mentioned the name, but I want you to kind of reiterate and kind of just take a little time to discuss about it. Talk about who you think that training camp darling is going to be this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Justin Ross. It's like we wouldn't wait to see what he can do since last year when the Chiefs picked him up as an undrafted free agent. We all know, about Justin Ross. 1,000 yards in his freshman year in college. Got hurt with like a neck injury or something like that, a spinal injury, and then had a foot injury in his junior year at Clemson. So then the Chiefs shut it down last year, decided to go ahead and do the surgery. So he missed all of training camp, all last summer, the whole season, everything like that. So going into this season, in this training camp, this was a name that's going to be talked about a lot, where everybody's going to be watching to see what he can do, because he has a ton of talent, a lot of potential. It's just we haven't seen it yet, and the ability to stay healthy, we haven't seen that either. So, but definitely going to be watching him throughout training camp.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up, Justin, because a lot of things that this team has relied on is speed, right?
Yep.
And some of the talk about Tyreek Hill before Tyreek left was speed. Now Tyreek shut a lot of that stuff down, like when he started transitioning into a wide receiver when the Chiefs drafted him, because you go back and watch some of them Tyreek catches, he made some pretty damn good catches. He wasn't just a speed guy. I mean, he jumped up and got the ball. But a lot of the people that we've tried to kind of complement or replace Tyreek with, McCole Hardman, MVS, a lot of those guys fast, but they're not, I wouldn't call them really good wide receivers. They're good, of course. I mean, you got to be a good wide receiver to play on a 53-man roster in the NFL, right? To say you're not good and you're playing in the NFL is just, it's silly. So yes, these guys are good, but we weren't looking at, some tier wide receiver guys. There's nobody that has come while we had Tyreek Hill and after Tyreek Hill that the Chiefs can look at and go, that's a really good wide receiver. That's a really good, he plays the position really good. So with Justin Ross, are we looking at that? Are we looking at a guy that can go up and make good catches, run good routes? Or are we just looking at another fast guy?
Yeah, I think with Justin Ross, you've seen a little bit of both at Clemson. The route running is definitely there. The ability to catch in traffic is definitely there. He had some crazy catches at Clemson playing with Trevor Lawrence. And the speed after the catch is still there with this guy. I mean, he doesn't have top end speed by any means, but he can break tackles and get yards after the catch. And I wouldn't say he has top end speed, but he definitely does have speed. But he's probably a more polished receiver than he is just a speed guy. More than I would say he's probably a little more polished than MVS.
Well, and as we've seen with this Chiefs team, and you and I will talk about this, obviously going into preseason, heading into the season. But if you look at what the Chiefs have done, the Chiefs have proved that they don't need, a good wide receiver.
Right.
I mean, like a really good wide receiver to do this. Obviously, last year, I don't think you could name or point out anybody who was really good on this team. Like Kadarius Toney had potential, but we're talking about a guy that played 4 games since he was drafted prior to the Chiefs trading for him. So, in fact, when the Chiefs traded for him, there was a lot of people scratching their head going, who cares? Like, what does it matter? And obviously we saw how that worked out. James also brings up a good point here. He says Rashee Rice has dropped 20 pounds so he can be quicker. So, I mean, you hear about, you see what Justin Ross did with his speed on his pro day and whatnot, and him staying healthy, hopefully. Kadarius Toney's speed and MVS's speed, his breakaway speed, all this stuff. So it looks like that this is the plan. This is the blueprint that the Chiefs have drawn up is, we need guys that can break away, get into their own space, and Patrick Mahomes will take care of the rest, right?
Yep. That's the biggest thing with the Andy Reid offense. It's always been separation. And that's why DeAndre Hopkins coming to the Chiefs didn't make that much sense, because that's what Andy Reid wants, is separation in receivers. I wanted the Chiefs to get DHop, but
my man, look at Ty, man. Ty reading the rundown knows that our next topic is DHop, and fudging great segue, my guy. Great segue. I apologize. I am in my garage. If you guys have seen, I'm trying to transition this into my streaming space, so it's a little cluttered. So just bear with me. Obviously got a bunch of my wrestling stuff over there. But you see the Kansas City Chiefs plates on that WWE championship right there. But yeah, man, let's talk about DHop. Because obviously the Kansas City Chiefs play in the NFL. don't want to make this, do want to sprinkle a little bit of this in with the NFL talk, but this has a lot to do with the Kansas City Chiefs because, I'm going to hold back because I want to hear your thoughts on it, Todd, but kind of talk to me about, we saw DHop sign with the Tennessee Titans. Yep. The Tennessee Titans are looking at Malik Willis and Ryan Tannehill as being the guys. And I made a joke to somebody earlier today and kind of a serious, not so serious joke, if you will, where I told somebody, I was like, DHop's going to feel right at home because DHop has had nothing but mediocre to horrible quarterbacks to throw him the ball. So him going to Tennessee made so much sense to me because I just don't think that DHop just couldn't fathom what it would be like to play with an elite quarterback like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or any of those guys. So he just said,
and you got to play alongside other great receivers on those teams.
Yeah. And so, he goes to the Tennessee Titans and, kind of talk to me about what your thought process was on that.
Yeah. So with DeAndre Hopkins made a list. I think we all know about this when he got released or when, they were talking about trading him. He said he wanted to go to a team that had a good quarterback, stable management and a great defense. The Titans don't have a great quarterback. The management, they just hired a new GM this year, and the defense is going to be good, obviously, because they got Mike Vrabel. But DeAndre Hopkins going to Tennessee, it does make sense. I mean, let's be honest. Tennessee, they know they dropped the ball when they traded A.J. Brown. They should have gave him that money, re-signed him. You've seen what happened to Ryan Tannehill without a top-tier receiver. He regressed significantly. He's a mid-tier quarterback that when he has a DeAndre Hopkins, he can play good enough to be a game manager. But when he doesn't have a DeAndre Hopkins, that offense becomes so one-dimensional, with Derrick Henry. I think this takes a lot of pressure off Derrick Henry. Now you got, obviously, Tannehill will be back this year, but they're even talking about Malik Willis could possibly be cut by the Titans. So it really could be down to Tannehill and Levis.
Yeah. James says instead of DHop, now we can re-sign L'Jarius Sneed. Absolutely. I mean, that's a possibility you're looking at. Some are contenders, some are pretenders. DHop's about that money. I think very rarely are you going to find football players in the NFL that aren't about money. I mean, that's just, there's 32 teams, 8 teams make it to the playoffs, two teams make it to the Super Bowl, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it is. And so for those 53 men on those 32 teams, and just the way that kind of, discussion looks like, if you're DHop, and here's my thing. I think that Kansas City Chiefs fans get super excited over hype. I think DHop posting that list on social media and there being, the stuff about Chris Jones and, trying to lure him in and whatnot, gave Chiefs fans a slither of hope that DHop was going to take this massive pay cut to come play with Patrick Mahomes. And I just don't think it was ever going to happen. I think it was social media, social media banter, if you will. So I just, to me, I was never excited about it. And I'm also not upset because we've seen what the Chiefs have done without Tyreek Hill, without a number one wide receiver. Could you imagine what the Chiefs could do with a number one wide receiver like DHop? Yes, of course. But I said many times last year, and I'll say it again this year, I think that when Tyreek Hill left the Chiefs, I think you broke the shackles off of Patrick Mahomes.
Yep.
Because Patrick Mahomes was constantly looking for that guy, that Tyreek Hill, that whatever. So it forced Patrick Mahomes to look other ways, to look multiple ways, to
spread the ball around.
Spread the ball around. Exactly. And so I never bought into the DHop hype. I never got excited about it. I think that personally, I think DHop made a weird decision to go to Tennessee. I think out of all the teams that have the cap space and have the need for, every team has a need for a guy like DHop.
Exactly.
But, I mean, for the teams that had the money and had the space, had the interest to do so, I'm confused about that move to Tennessee. James says DHop used KC to get a bigger bag from Tennessee.
So.
I don't know. Like I said, to me, I just felt like the DHop thing and the Chris Jones thing and the Chiefs thing was all just social media hype, was just, kind of like ha he he between the two guys. I don't think that there was ever a situation where they were like, hey, we really could go sign DHop. To me, that's what I think of it as. I think of it as playful banter.
Yep.
A couple years ago, Chris Jones did the exact same thing. He showed up on a video with Le'Veon Bell in the middle of Le'Veon Bell's holdout. And he was like, oh man, could I come to Kansas City? Could I be a Kansas City Chief? And like, obviously we saw that come to fruition.
Ultimately,
much later, after he was ultimately let go, after he was traded from Pittsburgh and whatnot.
To the Jets.
But at the time, that was never going to happen.
No.
It was stupid and it was silly. And it was just like I said, it was just like that social media thing. Again, it was Chris Jones. So I look at this as the same way. So I don't think DHop used KC to get a bigger bag from Tennessee. I think that, like I said, I think a lot of teams were interested. I think Tennessee thinks that DHop automatically puts them in contention.
Yeah.
And they went out and paid a lot of money for him. So James says, especially once the defensive tackle in New York signed and gave a baseline for Chris Jones.
I thought Chris Jones was going to be a Chief for like 24 hours. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. Jeff KC. Is it Jeff or is it Jeffy? I'm not sure. Well, we appreciate you joining.
What's up?
Coach Dante, baby. Appreciate him coming in, putting some emojis in there. Guys, if you are watching the show, we greatly appreciate it if you hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button, put some comments in the comment section, whether it's hi or emojis like Coach Dante just did. It helps the algorithm on both YouTube and Facebook. It lets YouTube and Facebook know that you enjoy watching this show. So they will put Hefe. Ooh, look at that. I like that. So big time Douglas, King Douglas, as I like to refer to him. If you watch the Line in the Sand podcast on Tuesday nights at Sports Empire Network, you'll know why we call Doug King Douglas. But like I said, guys, emojis, hi, whatever the case may be, it lets YouTube and Facebook know that you like watching this show, and they will continue to push it out to other people. And James knows best Chiefs content in Casey area. Hit that share button. Boom. Means Chiefs in Spanish. Ooh.
I didn't know that.
Jefe, I like it. I like that. I thought that was, never mind. I gotta remember, man. I'm on Sports Empire Network platform. We got to keep it fairly PG on this platform. So I'm used to that late night stuff where I can just kind of let loose and rip. But kind of getting into the next topic, man. I saw this quote or this tweet about Isaiah Pacheco. And there is a lot of talk going on right now in the NFL about running backs. Yeah. And we're gonna kind of mix all of that in right now. But before we kind of talk about that, I want to ask you, Ty, what do you think that the Chiefs' plans are for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the number 32nd pick in the 2020 draft, the year after we won the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. He looked like he was going to pan out.
Had a good rookie year.
He had a great rookie year, and he's had some injuries and whatnot. But kind of talk to us about what you think the Chiefs' plans are for Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, I think he's going to be RB3 if he doesn't get traded after training camp. I think this will really be the last chance for the Chiefs to trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If somebody gets hurt in training camp or maybe in the season before the trade deadline, they can trade him then. But really, right now, he holds no trade value. You might get a 7th round pick for Clyde, which at this point still feels like a bit much because it feels like the Chiefs really could just cut him loose if this undrafted free agent running back, Deneric Prince, makes the roster, pushing Clyde out of his spot. I think the plans for Clyde is just basically an insurance policy slash RB3 or 4. If somebody goes down, and then we might see him play. But up until that, I don't think he'll be getting off the bench much in the game.
Yeah, King Douglas says he has great trade value. He does. I hesitate on using the word great, but yeah. I mean, Doug, who's a Cowboys fan, he's not a Chiefs fan. So Doug, being the outside looking in, saying, hey, he has great trade value, kind of gives me a little bit of hope that I could use the word great. Like I said, I would use good trade value. I don't think that the Chiefs are going to get high draft round, a high draft pick for him, but I like that Doug used the word great. So Clyde Edwards might do something. It's a contract year. It's undefeated.
That's a good point.
Hefe makes a great point. In Kansas City, we are very, very used to seeing guys who have done great things or underperformed all of a sudden come out and knock their contract year out of the park. And then some have gotten a good payday, some have not. I think with the way that the running back class in Kansas City looks, I don't think you're going to look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting a big payday. No. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire could come out and do some he could have a miraculous year. And I still think the Chiefs would let him walk. When you've got guys like Isaiah Pacheco, who was a 7th round pick last year, coming out and putting the team on his back and doing what Isaiah Pacheco did last year, I think that regardless of how great or good of a year Clyde Edwards-Helaire has, I think he still is not going to make it. In fact, young with plenty in the tank, absolutely, a RB1 caliber type of back, absolutely.
I don't know if he could be RB1. I think I really think that
he could.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs really misused him from the day that we got him. We seen what he did at LSU, being a receiving back a lot of times. We barely threw him the ball his rookie year, and then we signed Jerick McKinnon, who ended up filling that role and playing very good in that role. But I really felt like the Jerick McKinnon role is really the role that Clyde should have been playing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I love everything that Jerick McKinnon has done for Chiefs Kingdom. But I agree. I think that I think when you've got a younger player like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, as long as he can stay healthy, I think that role, that Jerick McKinnon role, would be great for him. But Hefe brings it up. He says we've got a stacked running back room. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs move Clyde Edwards-Helaire before the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if he stays on a 53-man roster throughout the entire year. But one of the things I wanted to bring up, and I can share my screen here because I want to read this tweet that caught my attention earlier today. It's from Carrington Harrison. And he says a player like Isaiah Pacheco is really screwed by the system. Isaiah Pacheco is 24 years old and he's a 7th round pick. He has to play 2 more seasons under his rookie deal. He can't hold out for his final season, and the Chiefs can tag him. he could possibly hit free agency, or he could possibly not hit free agency until he's 28, 29. He's never getting paid.
Yeah.
Now, you look at something like that and you think like, man, like that's kind of daunting. I mean, that's kind of like, but I mean, it's the harsh truth. You've got a 7th round pick like Isaiah Pacheco, who played like a 1st or 2nd round pick last year, completely blew his expectations out of the water, was one of the better backs in the NFL, in my opinion, not just because I'm a Chiefs fan, but you go look at the way he ran, look at
the numbers, the
and
yards
maybe,
per carry.
and maybe I'm putting him on a high pedestal because he was a 7th round pick. But I mean, you look at a guy like that and the way this situation, Derrick Henry, we brought up earlier with the Titans and DHop, and Derrick Henry has caused a lot of controversy and a lot of stir in the NFL today because he's mentioned the running back is one of the most utilized positions in the NFL. They're expected to block, they're expected to run, they're expected to catch
they're
expected
ball.
to route run, all this stuff that they're expected to do. And they're one of the most underrated. And I think the reason why that is because there is so many.
Yep.
I mean, like we go back to talk about Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill was drafted as a running back and he was transitioned to a wide receiver just because there is so many running backs that come and go, and the shelf life for a running back
is like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Is 2 to 3 years before you go from that top guy down to, I mean, when's the last time the league had a guy like Adrian Peterson?
Right.
I mean,
Derrick Henry is probably the closest thing to that.
The closest. And Derrick Henry hasn't, in my opinion, I don't think Derrick Henry has, measured up to that Adrian Peterson level. But, I mean, kind of, you look at this, you look at the chat. Hefe says Clyde can't block like McKinnon. That's true. Jarrett McKinnon re-signing and us drafting Prince. I think the writing is on the wall. You got to be a Swiss Army knife to play with Andy Reid. Agreed. Players Union is going to have to intervene at some point. I think they will.
I think that's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah. Pacheco's burst is very good. It's extremely good. CMC has spoken out as well. Christian McCaffrey, most beat up and have shortest shelf life. Dakota, we appreciate you joining. He said D-Hop would have been cool, but we didn't need him. Exactly. Dakota coming in and kind of
shout out to Dakota.
Yeah, shout out to Dakota coming in and putting the seal on that, his seal of approval. We kind of closed that casket, but you've got CMC, Derrick Henry, all these running backs coming out and talking. And, we had the controversy with Deebo Samuel, where Deebo Samuel was like, yo, I want to be the highest paid player on a team because I'm doing the most. I'm blocking, I'm running, I'm receiving, I'm doing everything. And there was a lot of argument, a lot of good argument for that case.
And then they traded for CMC.
Yeah. And we saw how that happened. They were like, okay, we know you're doing all of this, but we'll go ahead and bring in another guy
that can do it all too.
And like it is what it is, but kind of talk to me about your outlook on it, Ty. I mean, I mentioned it tonight. I know they talked about it on Sports Empire yesterday as well. On the Big Three, where they kind of talked about the running backs and whatnot. Jordan, shout out to Jordan. He's a Ravens fan on Sports Empire Network. You can catch him on the Big Three and some other shows on Empire as well. But Jordan kind of mentioned, like, hey, I think running backs are like one of the most important positions. And I told him, I was like, I agree with you. I think it is, but nobody else is going to look at it that way because of the shelf life, the crop. There's so many.
You can get one in
they're a dime a
round, and
I hate. Yeah, I mean, like I really hate to say that about players, about young athletes, but at the running back position, especially in the NFL and in college football, running backs are a dime a dozen. You see the NFL bring them in and use them as fullbacks, or use them as wide receivers or transition them into whatever the case may be. It's just, unfortunately, it's a harsh truth about what's going on with the running backs in the NFL. So kind of talk to me about your outlook on it, buddy.
Yeah, with the running back situation, I mean, I agree with everything you say. It's definitely one of the most important positions in the NFL and in all of that. But you don't need a top tier guy to fill that position, and teams are starting to realize that you don't need to pay. Now, there's certain teams that do need a guy like that, like the New York Giants, for example. They absolutely needed Saquon Barkley. He was the whole offense. We seen when Saquon wasn't healthy, how the Giants offense was terrible. And then he comes back and it jump started everything. So definitely certain teams should value running back higher than others. Like, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, they don't need to value running back at the highest, because they can go out and draft the guy in the 7th round and throw him in there and he can fill that role because they have such good quarterbacks. But I think that's what it comes down to. Saquon Barkley is the face of that franchise in New York. Let's call it like it is. It's not Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones got paid before Saquon. So, and then you got Josh Jacobs out there in Vegas. He is the whole team. I mean, obviously they got Devontae Adams, but the quarterback situation is a mess out there. And the head coach situation is a mess. And that's the face of the franchise. You got to pay those guys.
Yeah, when you have this isn't a knock at it, I'm being serious. When you got a smaller tier, lower tiered quarterback, like a Jimmy Garoppolo, a Ryan Tannehill, it's okay to have a guy like Derrick Henry and DHop on the team because that quarterback can play game manager and do those things. It's not anywhere near a comparison, but for Chiefs fans to understand, it's why at the time in 2010, when the Chiefs went 10-6 and went to the playoffs with Matt Castle, Jamal Charles, and Dwayne Bowe. Dwayne Bowe led the league in touchdown passes that year. It was because that's the way the offense worked. That was the way the team needed you, But you go back to that tweet I brought up earlier, where you look at a guy like Isaiah Pacheco, the Chiefs never have to pay him.
Yep.
Isaiah Pacheco,
they can draft somebody else on that last year.
They don't have to. I mean, 9 times out of 10, that's what happens in the NFL. And a younger guy gets drafted, Isaiah probably will slow down, whatever. But if, like, in a fantasy world, you got Isaiah Pacheco, and let's just say Isaiah Pacheco turns into a 99 overall, for you Madden players, and Isaiah Pacheco turns into a 99 overall, there's nothing Isaiah Pacheco can do about it. According to the rules and the way it is, Isaiah Pacheco has to play under the Chiefs rookie deal
on that rookie deal. Can't
hold out. And there's nothing he or anybody else can do about it. And by the time it comes time for him to get paid, unless he's an Adrian Peterson tier player, you're 28 years old, man. You think the Chiefs are going to open up and pay you 6 figures? Nah.
They won't.
Yeah. 7 figures.
The only running back I think
the 7
the
figures
Chiefs would have paid was probably Kareem Hunt, at his peak. And then all that stuff happened with that. But I think Kareem Hunt would have got a big payday.
I think he would have got a decent one. I still miss Kareem. It was unfortunate what all happened, and it is what it is. You got to move on.
I can't believe he's still a free agent.
I can't either. If the running back room in Kansas City wasn't so full,
exactly.
But, and it's so funny because I'm so hypocritical. I'm always like one of those Chiefs fans that, like, it's like we talked about DHop earlier. I'm like, we don't need DHop. Knock it off. Like, what do we need DHop for? We've got all these other people that Patrick Mahomes can do. And then at the same other time, I'm like, dummy. Like, of course Patrick Mahomes could use another weapon.
Exactly. Make his life easier. Why not?
Yeah. The fact that Kareem is still a free agent is mind-boggling.
And Ezekiel Elliott too.
Yeah, Ezekiel Elliott, to me, and maybe that might upset some people, but Ezekiel Elliott, to me, I feel like is a little bit more understandable as being a free agent than Kareem Hunt. Just because I feel like, and maybe that has a lot to do with the Cowboys and how the Cowboys utilized him, because I feel like he wasn't showcased enough for me to go, yeah, I think Ezekiel Elliott could still, still be that guy. But you watch Kareem play last year. Yeah. You watch Kareem play last year, and when Kareem was on the field, you can look at him and be like, he definitely could be somebody's starter. Definitely.
Yep. And he was a backup, so he didn't take all the hits like an Ezekiel Elliott took all those years in Dallas. And Dalvin Cook's still out there. I mean,
yeah.
Training camp starts next week, and all these guys are
exactly all these guys are free agents. But I mean, that's kind of just another footnote in this whole talk of the NFL and how they see running backs, because you've got top tier talent like Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, who are still on free agency, and you're kind of scratching your head like, if you're a team, not like Kansas City, but I mean, if you're a team like Baltimore, who's another one? Buffalo could instantly Miami, exactly. Buffalo and Miami could instantly benefit from signing an Ezekiel Elliott, a Kareem Hunt, a Dalvin Cook. Absolutely. Hefe says there's something fishy about them without a team. It is, man. It's weird. And I think maybe that's why a lot of this stuff is coming up with Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey kind of bringing this up about the league not valuing running backs anymore, because you've got 3 good guys sitting on free agency that could easily be a team starter, and nobody's willing to call him or do anything. So
they would rather start like a 3rd or 4th round rookie.
Yeah. I appreciate everybody who has jumped in the comments. I appreciate everybody who hit the like buttons, hit the heart buttons, the thumbs up button on YouTube if you guys did that. We got some side subjects to talk about, Ty and myself. One of those, and Key mentioned earlier, I'm gonna slide on up here in the comments, see if I can catch Keys. Key said earlier, she said, "What do y'all think about Mahomes and the quarterback series on Netflix?" Ty, have you watched it?
Yeah, I've watched it. I've just finished it up last night.
So good, man.
Yeah, it is.
I think I have 1 or 2 more episodes. How many episodes are there?
There's 8.
There's 8. Okay, yeah. I've got a lot more than 1 or 2. I just finished 5, so I've got 3 more episodes.
Yep.
So kind of
7 and 8's really a lot of Mahomes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, dude, I've fallen in love with it. I mean, like, obviously, like, kind of seeing seeing that stuff. Like I mentioned, I live in Peculiar, Missouri. Mahomes is right there in Belton. It's 3-4 miles from me. So kind of watch him and Brittany kind of show them, breaking ground in Loch Lloyd and starting to get that their house, the dream home built, if you will. Is kind of cool for me. Watching the whole thing with, the pregnancy and kind of watching how Mahomes can turn on, game day Patrick Mahomes, and then, dad and husband Patrick Mahomes kind of just flip like that. Like, not to take anything, obviously, like, I watched it because Mahomes is in the show, right? I think that's why everybody on this show who's a Chiefs fan, Hefe, James, everybody who's a Chiefs fan, obviously watched that Netflix special because Patrick Mahomes is in there, right? But to kind of give a shout out to the other 2 guys, Kirk Cousins, Marcus
I have
Mariota.
A lot of respect for Kirk Cousins after watching it.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird for me. Like, unless I've had a personal interaction with somebody, it's hard for me to be like, I don't like them,
Right.
I take that back. As a Chiefs fan, I couldn't stand Peyton Manning. I still can't. I've never wanted to punch somebody in their forehead in my entire life.
He was actually the executive producer of the show.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
yeah, I know. But I mean, like, it's really kind of, and I'm not a big reality TV fan. I despise reality TV. I think reality TV is the cesspool of society. But I mean, maybe I'm getting old and whatnot, because like I said, I just finished episode 5 and I'm excited to start episode 6. I only thought there was like 6 or 7 episodes. So now that I know that there's 8, now I've got a little bit more.
Yep.
The head strap thing,
Yeah,
Cousins
that
does.
was weird. The screen goes dim if he's not paying attention.
Yeah. James says, I think seeing a different perspective on things is really cool. Behind the scenes shows are always cool, but because it's our guy, it's special. Yeah. And that's what it was for me. Like, I don't really care about behind the scenes stuff, but because it was our guy, I was like, I'll watch this. And then, I kind of go in there and, Cool, says KC Boo. Hey, I don't know if you know this or not, but Cool has a show that's not on the network. So I'm probably gonna get chastised or written up for doing this, because I'm promoting a show that's not on the network. But Cool has a show, the Eagles Elite podcast, and I guess they talked about that funny little thing that Eagles fans and some of their defense are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the field that the Eagles defense played on was different than what the Chiefs defense played on at the Super Bowl. So I guess that's why they lost. I don't know. That's what I heard.
Yeah, the field.
We're gonna save that for next week's show, because I feel like that should have been a topic, but I do want to, I don't want to harp on it too much. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl. You can't change the outcome.
Yeah.
Anything like that. And we've talked 100 times. Gene and I, have, let bygones be bygones, and kind of Gene and I both talked about it. It sucks the way it ended. I don't think it should have ended that way, but it is what it is. But, obviously there is some talk in the media right now about that whole thing. And then, one of the Eagles players that I was madly in love with, Brandon Graham. I love Brandon Graham. Started running his mouth on social media and couldn't take the heat, man. I don't know if you saw, but like Chiefs Kingdom,
he started blocking.
Tarzan, a couple people got blocked by him because he couldn't handle fans coming after him and telling him how stupid his take was. Especially like when you're a player in a polarizing position like that and you get on social media and you say some dumb shit like that. Like, let's all agree, like, that was dumb. The Eagles defense played on the same field that the Chiefs defense played on. The Eagles offense played on the same field that the Chiefs offense played on. Like, were there some stupid calls?
The Chiefs had offensive line slipping.
Yeah. I mean, like, there were some stupid calls in that game. No, I didn't like how the game ended. But when you're a polarizing figure and you get on social media and you say some dumb shit like, oh yeah, the field is the reason why we lost. Give us a brand new field and let us replay that game, and I bet you the outcome's different. And like, dude, you're going to get ate up. You're going to get ate up by not just Chiefs fans, but other fans too. And then other fans are like, it's weird.
Especially within their division.
Yeah, it's just
Cowboys fans and
it's odd. But we work with a lot of Eagles fans, and there's some great ones out there. There's some duds.
Yeah.
There's some great ones out there. So there's some duds. But there's some duds Chiefs fans and some duds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know all about that.
Yeah. But we'll add that to the topic next week. I wanted to take this time to kind of talk about the Chiefs training camp schedule. So you've got the first practice is going to be this Sunday, Sunday, July 23rd, 9:15 in the morning, a $5 admission fee. There will be a team autograph session. Do not expect guys like Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Just don't want anybody to get their hopes up. Monday, July 24th. You're going to, that's an exclusive season ticket member day. Hallelujah for season ticket members. and that's kind of the thing. I'm not going to break down every single day here, but guys, the practices are going to be at 9:15 in the morning. There's going to be different. If you guys want the training camp schedule, it's on the Chiefs.com website. Go check it out. Go look at what days certain positions are going to be signing autographs. I'm looking here right now. It looks like Friday, July 28th is going to be quarterbacks and running backs. So, hopefully maybe Patrick Mahomes stays out for a little bit longer to sign those autographs. But training camp goes all the way to August 17th. Now, the first preseason game, I think I said, was August 13th, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So
I'm ready for that.
So while we're on the subject, before we close out here, I wanna put you on the spot, Ty. Let's pick not right now, but let's get together and let's pick a day. You and I go. We're gonna see our friend James there. For those that don't know, James does a lot of stuff with Full Sail University, a lot of stuff in sports media. Obviously, used to be on the Sports Empire Network. James actually just got a position at 610 Sports. So James is gonna go head up there, and I don't know if he's gonna be heading up there with 610 Sports or if he's just gonna be up there as a fan. But maybe that's something we look at. You and I go up there, see James, and maybe get some content and see if we can yeah.
Yeah, I'm normally free on Friday, so we could go on a Friday.
I'll tell you what, man, because I'm going to go up there multiple times. My mom still lives in St. Joe, so I'm going to be up there a lot. I'm going Monday at season ticket day. All of those other things, and we'll, definitely you and I will get together and we'll talk about that. But yeah, guys, if you wanna go hang out, go to St. Joe, Missouri. If you're in the Kansas City area, it's about an hour and a half, depending on where you're at in the Kansas City area, to get up there to the college to check out Chiefs training camp. It's hot. It's in the middle of the summer. It's gonna be miserable. Yeah.
Make sure you lock your doors in the parking lot too.
Oh my God!
You are in St. Joe,
my man. And Ty lives in the dot. Okay. So for y'all that live in Kansas City and you all know where the dot is, Ty lives in the dot, where you lock your doors all the time, no matter what. I mean, if I lived in the dot, I'd lock my front door to go outside and check the mail. So when Ty says to lock your doors when you go to St. Joe, he means lock your doors.
Yeah.
James says, great show, fellas. Got to get back to work. Catch you later. Appreciate you joining. Thanks. James. Saijin right here at the end says, what's up, guys? Saijin's always showing love to Sports Empire Network on YouTube. We appreciate you. Cool says, I have complaints about the game, but the field isn't one of them. Interesting. I like that. I don't hate it.
At least don't blame the field. I mean, anything else, whatever, is fair game.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Well, we're right here at the hour mark. I want to give Sports Empire Network some time to prepare, get ready for Wire to Wire with Gene.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys check out that show. Gene's awesome at what he does. So if you guys like sports talk, football talk, any of that, you're going to get plenty of it from Gene here in a little bit on Wire to Wire. Thank you for everybody who tuned into the show. Like I said, this is kind of more of our hard launch, if you will. I know Ty and I talked about doing that soft launch back around the draft. This is more of a hard launch. So we will be back next Wednesday, same time, 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4:30 p.m. Arrowhead time, if you will. Maybe look at moving the show to a different time slot as we get closer to the season. Maybe not, but we'll see. But thank everybody who came in, showed out, hit that like button, hit the thumbs up button. We appreciate you. Come back. What we're going to talk about on the next show is we're going to talk about the draft picks. And we're going to talk about the Eagles thing coming. All the Eagles talk about the field and the Super Bowl. We'll revisit that, hash that out a little bit. And then we're also going to talk about preseason and what that's going to look like. And maybe not next week, but in a future show, Ty and I will talk about a little bit more of getting down to cutting the fat, if you will, losing weight and getting down to that 53-man roster.
Yep.
Other than that, Ty, you got anything else for us before we close out of here, sir?
No, I think you covered everything. Just ready for preseason, ready for football. I think everybody is.
I am too. I can't wait. I'm gonna overuse my season tickets this year. I'm excited. So with that being said, Ty, what I want you to do really quick is I want you to tell everybody where they can find you on social media and anything you got going on in and outside of the Empire. This will be the one time I'll let you get away with it. Same time every week. But go ahead, let everybody know where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, you can find me at the Sports Talk with T on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. My name is ISO_Ty_3 because my other account, something happened with my other account. I got locked out of it. But you can find me at the Sports Talk with T on pretty much any social media platform. And then on Arrowhead Chief Podcast on Mondays, we normally recap the game, but obviously there hasn't been anything to recap over the last 4 months. So we just been talking about free agency, just coming up with stuff to talk about, Chiefs and NFL related. So definitely find me over there.
All right, guys. CR Media, you guys know where to find me at CR Media on all forms of social media right there at CR Media 1988. That's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, all of the above. I like to call myself Sports Empire Network's residential pro wrestling guy. As you can see, it's what I do. It's what I'm in. I love Kansas City and I love professional wrestling. Hence why I'm bringing a wrestling promotion to Kansas City. So stay tuned for that. Fountain City Pro going to be debuting in early 2024. So anything involving professional wrestling, if you like that and you like the Kansas City Chiefs, make sure you give CR Media a follow. Other than that, my name is Chase. This is my co-host Ty. And as always, go yourself, San Diego.